So the question is, why don't we work together? We have three synergies that have the same question. How do we save life on Earth? How do we protect? How do we restore? How do we sustainably manage? But we don't know how to work together because we have different focal points for each convention. We have different rules. We report differently. We have different actions. Even though we have one planet, we're not really focusing on how we can do one action that achieves multiple dividends. I would love to see in 2020 a joined up UNCCD, UNFCCC, and Convention on Biological Diversity at least have the ministers for finance, for biodiversity, for nature, for climate come together at the high-level segment to not have three separate COPs, three separate transactions, three separate sets of plane tickets and carbon cost, have one vision about what nature can do for each of the three conventions and to create a roadmap for 2030. And it's not about the conventions, it's about, at this point in time, the Sustainable Development Goals and how nature underpins them. If we can come together and say, let's protect, let's manage, and let's restore nature to achieve the SDGs and the goals of the convention, I think it will be much easier. I think there are three levels. And the first level is that people acknowledge the IPCC report. They acknowledge the urgency and the severity, and they are mobilized to take action. I haven't seen yet the kind of determination that countries need to take in order for us to achieve these goals in the next decade. Second, I think there are certain rules that need to be agreed upon, certain procedural aspects that need to happen if we're going to have a successful 2020 and beyond and bend the curve. But third, I would like to see forests and nature placed firmly in the climate agenda. Nature provides at least 30%, some say 40% or more of our climate solution, but it only gets 2% of finance and it's only 1% of global discourse. That needs to change. The GEF can help by nudging countries. The GEF holds the purse strings. The GEF can ask countries to identify what are your NDCs, what are your LDN targets, what are your NBSAP targets. Let's see how they join up. The GEF can nudge simply by holding the purse strings and asking implementing agencies and requesting countries to show how they are showing synergies and provide templates and pathways for countries to do so. If we were doing enough, then we wouldn't see the kind of fragmentation. For example, last 2 weeks in Egypt, I don't think any of the focal points are the same ones who are here. There's just not the kind of synergies, and the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plans barely mentioned climate. We reviewed every single action of every country. Barely is there climate. Same thing for NDCs. Barely is there nature. If it is, it's not actionable, it's not specific, and it's not quantifiable. There must be a much more rigorous syncing up of countries' aspirations and goals and specific actions. There's a hierarchy among ministries. It's unspoken, but the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Mining and Materials, Ministries of Transportation, they have the power and the influence. Ministries of Nature, Biodiversity, Forests, Protected Areas, Parks, and then Ministries of Climate. They are the stepchildren of the economy, but the truth is they provide more benefits. Nature provides more benefit than the total global GDP, but it's not recognized. Every day I get out of bed and think the world is going to end because we have 10 years to solve our climate crisis. We've lost 60% of vertebrates in my lifetime. But then I think about what I see around the world. I think about communities taking action. I think about governments taking a stand. I think about investment companies saying we're getting out of the business of deforestation-related commodities. I think of companies like Unilever, Mars, Kellogg's, McDonald's saying we will no longer be associated with deforestation commodities, and that gives me hope.